What's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition or tutorial, if you want to call it that. Just a little airbrush thing on how I put together these shirts. I wanted to do the skull because it's a classic tattoo element and it's what's really popular right now. Now, I've literally done thousands of skulls, so I don't want you to think when you're starting this tutorial that right out of the gate you need to do good. And you probably are. That's not to discourage you. But if you fail or if it doesn't come out right, don't get upset. Just bear with me. Now, what you're seeing me do here is I'm pre-sketching. So if you notice, I'm working on the eyes right now. I'm dropping them in there just to try to get my element worked out, their proportions properly, the classic circle for the face, and I'm doing the nose. And by the way, guys, just by doing a light sketch, just to understand how my skull is going to turn out, I just do like a light pencil sketch, as you would if you draw. Now, for the people out here that have never used an airbrush before, can you do this in the form of a stencil? Yes, you can. And I highly encourage it because the stencil is going to help you keep those proportions. It's going to speed the drawing process up so that you enjoy the finished product fast. I mean, and that's the way that we are in society right now. Fast production, a fast response. I mean, look at the Facebook generation. Everything is instant gratification. And with a stencil, you're going to get that. I would take my time and draw the stencil out in your particular art style and then go ahead and cut and drop it in there, so every time you do a shirt it's something that's original to you. Try to stay away from purchasing stencils or laser cut stencils or whatever might be good for you, because you're conditioning yourself to a certain art style that person made. You make your own. It's what's going to be original to you in the style of a shirt. Now, if you notice here, I'm kind of taking a step back, looking at the shirt, seeing where I'm at. And mind you, every time I do a skull, it comes out a little different, a little bit. I'm a very violent artist. Sometimes I do comics, sometimes I do real life. It depends on what the customer wants me to do. If it's a kid, I tend to go more comic-y. If it's an adult, I do more evil, gore, so on and so forth. Working on the eyes right now, doing a little shading, trying to get my eyes out. Now, I'm not going to complete the eye sockets, because if you do, you come up with more of a Hanna-Barbera kind of a look once you complete those lines. Just trying to give the effect so that when I lay the shading in there, it gives the tinneling kind of an effect, and you'll see that in a second with the shading. Gives it a kind of in-depth view. Now, I'm not going to go for full realism. It's going to kind of look Evil Dead 2-ish, kind of unproportioned skull. If this was to have flesh on it, it'd look completely alien. No human in their right mind would look at this if you study the skull. It's a lot shorter, more squat. But for the shirt, because it's a long shirt, it has to look, it has to look awesome, pretty much. So, that's what I'm doing here, and my hand, sorry. So now the cheekbones, I tend sometimes to have problems with. Sometimes I get the cheekbones too long, and sometimes too short. So you kind of have to take a step back and look at what you're working on. And nothing is finalized here, by the way. Underneath the cheekbones, I'm getting ready for the ridge of where the teeth belong. So just kind of putting that in there, adding the nostrils to it, going to bring some shade. Now, once again, this is just an evil-looking skull. There's nothing here that you have to do perfectly. I would really encourage you, you're watching this YouTube video, but I would encourage you to, once again, do your own version. It's cool. If you do something that I do, it gratifies me, and I really appreciate it. It gives a lot of props, and I want you to make something that you're happy with. So if you're happy doing it that way, go for it. Personally, me, I would try to really look at this and then go, okay, I'm going to do it this way. I don't like how Brim laid the teeth down, or he did this or he did that. Tweak it, man. That's what it's all about. So go ahead and do that, and I'm just kind of laying some shading in there and whatnot, so have fun with it. And I guess we'll skip ahead a little bit. Pretty much to knock out a lot of the knockoff artists on the net with spraytees.com. I've been thinking about, okay, how am I going to watermark the photos? And part of the neat thing about doing what it is that we do, especially in design and any kind of design, it's how can you put your signature to something as a business, so that even when people take your picture, because I want people to take the pictures, and I want Airbrush, artists to aspire, see something, and say, I want to make this but better. But I still want to put my name on it. It's what I did, it's what I worked hard to do, and I want props. So how am I going to do that? Especially towards the website, because I don't want, there's a lot of knockoff people, a lot of other airbrushers that just grab and go from the net. So what I figured was, from the point on, any design work that we do as far as t-shirts, so on and so forth, instead of putting a name or anything on there, we're just going to put the Spray Tees logo on every shirt, and that way any sites do it, and automatically we're advertising ourselves, that customer knows where to get it at. And even in training videos, if we work with large licensees, like we're working with BYN right now, they have a line called Breakers. We'll still do a Spray Tees spin-off on their products, so on and so forth. It's a great way to brand and still yet keep our customers intact, our credibility intact as far as who we are, and I don't know, just have fun, make cool stuff, and still retain, where the artwork has come from, because in the future we're going to have a lot of artists that work with us, and we always want to give that credibility back to Spray Tees, because that's the business model that we work with, and why wouldn't we do that? So here you're seeing the Spray Tees, I won't say the logo, but kind of like a taggish kind of, I don't know, something weird. I didn't want to do tag because everybody does tag, they're expecting graffiti or something like that. So just kind of, I don't know, a twisted kind of a lettering. Something to that effect. So we'll have the Spray Tees on there. I'll step back in a second so you can see it. And Spray Tees, cool. It's amazing, when I first started doing this, I was watching airbrushers in the Panhandle in Florida. And of course, as the business is with these things, they never want you to see what they're doing, especially if they find out you're another artist. They're very scared to see what it is that they're doing and how they're doing it, because they don't want you to learn. Obviously a person that's humble and a good artist and a gentleman, they're scared of business. They're scared of somebody else coming onto a territory, and I call it the drug dealer methodology. My business, I did this, and if you come along, you're going to take away from that business. So they don't want you to see or know anything, so they push you off. The problem is, it comes down to business ethics. If you just do a good job and you put that touch on there, a finishing touch, even if you're a rook or an advanced airbrusher, if you always go 100%, you're always going to retain an awesome paycheck, and people are going to always want a part of that. So business-wise, anytime anyone's ever watched, I always take a second to talk to them and to let them know that everything's all right. I've even had a lot of airbrushers come in and want to take pictures of the booth, take pictures of the website, do a lot of different things. So it's not, to me, it's always like a cool, these people are doing that, but at the same time, you always have that fear of they're going to take the designs, and they are. They're going to use the designs. They're going to do what they do, and you have to trend set. You have to put them out there, get people to understand what airbrush is, and just get people to know that it's more than what you see it. Okay, so now what I've done here is I've grabbed a spray bottle, and typically airbrushers will take a spoon or a clothespin or do different things and spray the shirt. It's like what they use for a granite effect or a concrete effect. I have spray bottles for this. It's just easier to me. It's less paint. I'll cut my paint or reduce it down to get a better drip, so it creates a better effect. If you notice here, I'm just lightly spraying the shirt in the areas. I can target it instead of it splatter everywhere, and the cleanup is a lot better. As you start to go into this career, even if you're experimenting, the cleanup process is a big deal. And in future tutorials, I'll go through what I do to clean and do things like this. But in this effect, I wanted a really cool looking drip. So if you look right here, I'm adding a really nice drip to it. And of course, guys, whenever you do these things, you never want to stick with whatever the given process is. I mean, if another artist comes in and says, this is the way we paint, he's dead wrong, because it's not. There's a million ways to do these things. This is just one technique. And I learned this, and I will never ever say what I did graffiti-wise or do what I did, because it would probably implicate me in a lot of problems. But in a form, this is kind of a streaking or a drift that you would get by doing these effects, and it really creates a cool looking t-shirt. So when people see it, they know that it's not printed. And let me tell you something, guys, when you create a full bleed shirt, when I use the term full bleed, that means a screen that would literally fit the size of a t-shirt when you silk screen. It's a very expensive process to do. Now, as a one color, you could do this, but when you're painting, it's just really hard to pull an effect off like this. So here you are, you see the shirt. Probably going to add, I've already added the white highlights. Okay, so, and that's the shirt, and that's all I have to say. Check it out, have fun, hit us up on spraytees.com, and we really appreciate you coming by to check us out. So have a good one, and